And we're joined now by the government leader in the House, Anthony Albanese. Good morning, welcome.
Morning, Barry.
We can just go back momentarily to the Victorian election. Do you get the sense that the state dominoes are starting to fall?
No, we'll take each election as it comes and analyse them based upon the state issues themselves. But I think we've heard from time to time the idea that either the Liberal Party's on the way out forever or the Labor Party's on the way out forever. The major parties are resilient. The Victorian election is, of course, too tight to call. We'll wait and see what happens with counting over coming days.
If the government was to fall in Victoria, though, it would make policy a whole lot harder to achieve, and particularly in the health area.
Oh, I think we're a government that has to negotiate with people outside the Labor Party in both houses to get our legislation through. We obviously will take each state government as the respective electors deliver to us and negotiate with them. We'll wait and see what happens in Victoria. I've been around a while. Looks like it's a bit early to call to me.
OK, I want to show you something that Kevin Rudd, the Foreign Minister, said on Channel 9 earlier this morning. He was asked about Paul Howes, the union leader, and the constant criticism of him by Paul Howes. Here it is.
We're always in better shape when the troops are singing from the same hymn sheet. And I think it's very important that people bear that very basic principle of politics in mind. And I think it's probably time that a few folks like this stop behaving like, factional leaders and factional thugs and just kind of grew up. And that's nothing to do with me. It's just about the general impact which that sort of rolling commentary has on the business of government, distracting us from our agenda.
Now, is Paul Howes a thug, and is that good advice?
I think all of us in the government aren't focused on Paul Howes or any other individual in the party. What we're focused on is our future agenda. It's just a fact that obviously it's better if everyone, as Kevin Rudd has said, is singing from the same song sheet. And I think that in terms of any past issues which have been there, certainly they're not a distraction to the Gillard government.
So you can understand why Kevin Rudd said what he did this morning.
Oh, look, I'm not going to get into any of that debate. It's of no concern to me. What's of concern to me is the government's agenda and making sure that we give good government to Australia.
OK, I want to talk now about the 5 sitting weeks, the hung parliament and the experience of all of that. Before we do, let's get a report card from Tony Abbott and from yourself.
Lest I be accused, Mr Deputy Speaker, of not giving credit where it's due, let's look at the success as well as a website. And there's been a modest extension of welfare quarantining in one territory of this country. I think there are 11 extra hospital beds in New South Wales. If we think they were indecisive with a majority, they are now absolutely incoherent without a majority.
The government has passed some 51 pieces of legislation. The Radio Communications Amendment, Social Security Amendment, Civilian Corps, Offshore Petroleum and Greenhouse Gas, Superannuation, Native Title Amendments. Indeed, this is a parliament that is functioning and passing out legislation.
Minister!
OK, 51 bills got through, but you had to make a lot of compromises along the way.
We're up to 54 now, Barry. We've got another 3 through after question time on Thursday. Look, we've got big reforms through. The National Broadband Network legislation, or the related legislation for the structural separation of Telstra, is significant microeconomic reform. Talked about for a long, long time. Everyone knows it should have happened, particularly when Telstra was privatised. We've done it. We've done it. And we've also got through health and hospital reform, major legislation on childcare. So we're able to function effectively as a government. The fact that negotiations now occur sooner than they used to, given that in the previous term, of course, we didn't have a majority in our own right in the Senate. So those negotiations took place there. What we're showing is that we can effectively govern, and I think those 54 pieces of legislation, and the scorecard's 54-0, not a single amendment not supported by the government has been carried by the House of Representatives so far this year.
So a scorecard of 54-0, it looks as if the independents are soft touches.
No, they're not. What they recognise is that the government has a good agenda. I mean, structural separation of Telstra to make sure that you'll be able to have a wholesale network through the NBN with retail competition built on top is of great significance. The national broadband network will transform the way that we work and the way that we live. The independents understand that. In their heart of heart, there are some people on the opposition benches who understand that as well, but they're all on Tony Abbott's song sheet of oppose, destroy, stop, which is what their response is to every piece of legislation that's brought before the Parliament.
Why didn't the House of Representatives members stay back on Friday and deal with this legislation after 2 o'clock and save the country a lot of money?
Well, we mightn't have been able to, Barry. The real question there is, why did the opposition filibuster and waste time, not change any of the outcome? Through Thursday, Thursday night, they stopped for a dinner break, then they suspended the sitting early. Friday they came back, there was more procedural nonsense. We couldn't have received it because of the transmission time from the Senate to the House until after 5 o'clock on Friday. That would have meant it would have been difficult for many members to get back to their electorates before Saturday. So that would have been 2 extra days in Canberra anyway. We made the decision, given that the coalition was determined to frustrate, block and negate, that we would come back with certainty on Monday at 12 noon to deal with this legislation, and there's 2 other bills that will be dealt with on their return from the Senate on Monday as well.
But there are some amendments to the NBN, or the bill that impacts on the NBN. Do you foresee any difficulties with those?
Well, we'll be supporting the legislation as it's been amended for each of the 3 bills, but the NBN being the most prominent. There's also a tax bill, and there's an airports bill as well in my portfolio. Who knows, Barry? Clearly, Tony Abbott and the opposition... Tony Abbott wouldn't have been there on Friday, by the way, anyway. He said that he had other appointments. But it'll be up to them how long the sitting goes for, whether they continue to oppose. But given their whole sense of being seems to be that they're only there to say what they're against, it's highly possible that we'll have some other stunts tried by the coalition on Monday. We'll wait and see.
Is the vote a mere formality, though?
Well, the support is very clear. It's very clear that not just Labor, not just the country independents who said that they'd support the NBN, but there's no stronger supporter in the Parliament than Bob Katter, who, of course, said that he would not support us being in a position to form government. But he gets how important this is for regional Australia, and given that the NBN is being rolled out right now, both to the north and the south of Mount Isa in his area of Queensland, it's not surprising that he gets it. What is surprising is that Tony Abbott and Malcolm Turnbull still continue this destructive tactic.
Now, Penny Wong yesterday came out in support of gay marriages, so did the South Australian branch of the Labor Party, so has the Northern Territory branch of the Labor Party. Is there inevitability about where this is headed leading up to the federal conference?
Well, we'll have the debate within the party, Barry. We've had, over a period of time, reforms granted to give greater equality to same-sex couples. We had debates at the last conference where we changed some of the policy. At the conference beforehand, we changed the policy again to remove discrimination from pieces of legislation. We have carried in our first term of office some 85 pieces of legislation, more change, giving equality to same-sex couples than were put in the previous 107 years since Federation. So we'll wait and see what the debate how the debate comes at the National Conference. Certainly when, as the person who first introduced a private members bill into the House to give equality to same-sex couples on superannuation, when I did that it was seen to be something unusual and something a bit radical. No one today, that passed the Parliament with no one opposing it, just went straight through during our last term of office. And so times do change, and we'll wait and see what happens at the conference.
Why haven't you already declared a conscience vote, though, for federal members? Surely this is appropriate in these circumstances?
Because we have a policy and a platform, Barry, and I support the processes of the party. The party has a clear policy adopted at the last conference. I moved the policy at the last conference. It requires a conference collective decision in order to change that policy framework.
And just finally, has your party president in New South Wales, Bernie Reardon, has he betrayed the party, as the Telegraph suggests this morning in its front page headline?
Oh, I think probably that says more about Bernie than it does about the party. He can speak for himself. My view is that Christina Keneally is doing a quite extraordinary job under difficult circumstances. I mean, every poll indicates that she faces an extraordinary uphill battle, but she gets up every day, she goes out there, she advocates for her position, and I think that her performance is worthy of support of each and every Labor Party member.
But not worthy of the support of the President, it seems.
Well, I'll leave Bernie to speak for himself.
OK, thanks for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Barry.